friends. Harvey Michaels here. Welcome back to our wild ride with Danshui President Plunge Spear Bloom, a story that had me on the edge of my seat while writing it. I'm excited to share a taste with you today. If you're new here, go ahead and tap that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming next. All right, let's jump in.
Chapter 10, Cards from Heaven. With a slight lopsided grin, Colonel Han looks Paul up and down. His eyes widen as he recalls his first glimpse of Paul on the Guandu Bridge, the man commanding chaos with nothing more than presence and instinct. Later there was the ambulance driver, Charlie, who posted a shaky but unforgettable video of stitching Paul's hand without anesthetic. Among the senior officers, a mystique has grown around Paul, a trivia gathering cult-like following fascination. Even Paul's flaws have become part of the legend. The heavily bruised face, the careful but stiff gait, and that scruffy mustache that somehow defies all regulation and logic. Bowing slightly, Paul speaks first. "Colonel Han, sir, I was told to meet you on my way to the other conference." Colonel Han freezes, startled by Paul's modesty. This is the man everyone in Central PD trips over themselves to praise, and yet here he is as deferential as a rookie. "Colonel Han, it is an honor to meet you, sir," Paul continues, his face steady but warm. "I can't tell you how many good things I've heard about you." Paul raises his hand in salute, his left arm bracing tightly across his ribs. His expression stays neutral, but the movement isn't without cost. A flicker of pain crosses his face. "Officer Hu, you don't need to salute until your ribs are healed." Han's voice cracks slightly, and his hand shoots out to shake Paul's, lingering longer than intended. Realizing this, he lets go, adjusts his glasses and coughs to cover a nervous laugh. "Apologies. These last few days have been unsettling," Han manages, the blush creeping up his face. "Please, Colonel Han, call me Paul." Paul's crooked smile deepens the bruises on his face, lending him an air of both vulnerability and strength. "We all got pretty shaken up. I'm just grateful for how it turned out." For a moment his expression softens, shadowed by a deeper thought. "So far," he adds, his voice quieter, the weight of unfinished business pressing against the words. "Paul, I don't know all the details, but after this meeting you will likely outrank me." Han pauses, meeting Paul's gaze directly. He's been briefed on his role, smoothing Paul's rise to leadership. The honor of that task isn't lost on him. "And that's fine by me. I'll serve you faithfully. I'll also tell you exactly what I think, but only if you ask me to." They stop outside Han's modest office. Lifting an arm in invitation, Han gestures for Paul to enter. Instead, Paul takes the colonel's hand. "It would be an honor to stand with you anywhere, Colonel Han." Han glances at his watch, trying to mask the rush of emotion swelling within him. Straightening his glasses, he regains composure. "We've got a few minutes. Let's talk. Does it hurt much to speak?" "No, the meds are doing their job." Paul's smile falters as heat rushes to his face, realizing he nearly blurted something foolish. No telling what Colonel Han would think if I said Coco must not have hit me as hard as I thought. Han misreads the flush and guides Paul to a chair. "I just have a few questions about Bali Precinct." Paul speaks carefully, skirting bitterness as he describes the precinct's challenges and potential. He highlights the need for modernization in procedural software and hardware, deflecting attention from Sergeant Bao's obvious failings. But Han's jaw tightens. He's already been briefed. Colonel Sun detailed Paul's repeated, rebuffed emails to Bao during the super typhoon and the history of mistreatment he endured. Yet, hearing it from Paul now, the anger surges fresh, his hands curling into fists as he fights the urge to cut him off. Paul, they didn't deserve you there, and you didn't deserve how they treated you. Now, they won't even get half the penalties they've earned. Han avoids saying punishment, though the thought tempts him. Colonel Han, Paul says, his tone steady, could I ask you a favor? Please, do what you can to ensure they don't go overboard with Sergeant Bao. It would be unfortunate if he lost his retirement benefits just a few years shy of 30 years of service. Han freezes, his mouth falling open. He snaps it shut, marveling at this rare loyalty. At the moment, he knows what he must do. I promise, Paul, I'll give him that chance. But inside, Han is seething. Later in his office, Han recalls Susie's tense voice on the phone just hours earlier. Bao set him up to fail, didn't he? She said. The outrage in her tone matched the fire building in his chest. She'd told him about the radio chatter she'd recorded during the super typhoon. Bao's reckless orders sending Paul alone onto narrow hillside roads into the jaws of danger with no backup. The man even had the gall to order Paul to clear debris in winds strong enough to rip roofs off buildings. Then, as if that weren't enough, he'd sent Paul across the Guandu Bridge in the worst of the storm, knowing full well it could cost him his life. Han grips the edge of his desk, knuckles white. He'd asked Susie to hold off on publishing the story. Give me time to deal with Bao first, he'd said. She hadn't been happy about that. You owe me, Colonel, big time, she'd shot back. Her tone had softened, though, when he promised to make it up to her. How about this, she said, a mischievous edge creeping into her voice. Let me record your meeting with Sergeant Bao. I won't use it for news. I just want to hear you light into him. Deal? He grumbled but agreed. Susie's resilience always surprised him. For all the times life had knocked her down, she still found ways to claw her way back, sometimes with dark humor as her shield. In her, Han saw something uncomfortably familiar, a reflection of his own jagged history. Now, standing in the corridor outside his office, Han clenches his jaw. Bao hadn't even bothered to visit Paul in the hospital, hadn't shown the barest decency of an apology. That sealed it. For Han, Bao wasn't just an incompetent sergeant. He was a coward who put his own ego above the lives of his officers. Han had no intention of going easy on him, no matter Paul's plea for mercy. Susie's voice lingers in his head, sharp and teasing. Let him have it for me, Colonel. Make it count. The outer office felt professional but unassuming. The secretary rises, offering Paul a polite smile and a slight bow. Do you have something to print, sir? After handing him the printout and memory stick, she opens the door to the commissioner's expansive inner office. Paul, come on in, Colonel Sun calls warmly from inside. Standing beside Sun are two men Paul never imagined meeting in person, Commissioner Ao and Deputy Commissioner Liu. We apologize for the urgency, Liu begins, his tone measured but firm. Certain matters require immediate action for the good of the department and Taiwan as a whole. Paul notices the flicker of surprise on Shun's and Ao's faces as Liu speaks. The vice commissioner's uncharacteristic verbosity catches them off guard, and Paul can't quite place the reason for their reaction. They each shake Paul's stitched hand gingerly before taking their seats. Ao leans forward, his tone heavy with conviction. We have big plans for reforming law enforcement across Taiwan, and we want you at the helm. Shun cuts in, his voice steady and direct. In this room, we act as a liaison between military intelligence and law enforcement. That means cooperating fully when necessary and guarding sensitive information from lower ranks and the public. Leo spreads his hands, his sincerity almost tangible. We are asking you to lead a new department. The position comes with the authority and rank you will need to make real change. Paul catches Shun glancing sideways at Leo, clearly unused to this much input from the older man. Shun shifts his attention back to Paul. You will be my boss, Paul, he adds without hesitation. You've probably noticed we haven't reviewed your official report yet, Shun continues. Police policy requires it, but much of what happened Saturday will remain classified. Any questions? Deputy Commissioner Leo asks, his directness startling even Ao. Paul hesitates. Just one. Why me? Ao smiles, his tone softening. Fair question. Your record speaks for itself. Initiative, integrity, relentless work ethic. These aren't just qualities, they're ideals. Leo nods. When he speaks, it matters. And we needed a hero, someone who looks and acts the part. Public opinion will celebrate it, and the department will follow your lead. Paul accepts the praise with quiet humility. Commissioner Ao's secretary re-enters with steaming mugs of oolong tea. Paul thanks her, the only one who does. Shun winks at him, a silent reassurance that brings a flicker of warmth to the room. We'll need your oral report now, focusing on Saturday's events, Shun says. Take your time. Paul begins, recounting everything. Kingfish's son striding back from the phone booth, Jimmy Yang singing on the radio, the explosion at Black Pearl, the unbelievably loud metallic crashing sounds erupting from inside the fish chopper, and the maddening delay before being able to U-turn on Highway 2. He describes the vivid details of the gunfights and hurrying the survivors to helicopters. He shares what he knew and saw and did while looking at the giant relief map of Taiwan on the wall near the door. The struggle within Paul keeps him from looking at the others. He feels bad about the lies, the omissions. They all did. After he finishes every detail he can remember happening before the helicopters arrived, he then describes what he did after both helicopters left. How he went over every square meter of the fish chopper so that he would know what to write, but also so he would forget no part of it, the place and the people that survived the drama with him. I only shot the last two, Paul says for the second time. I won't reveal the identity of the anonymous man. Colonel Shun interrupts gently. We know him, Andrew Fisher. D to his friends. We hope and pray for his recovery. So far, so good, is all the doctors say. Paul's throat tightens. He catches Shun looking away, pretending to blink back something in his eye. He continues, praising Turtle Skipper and Coco's heroics before stopping himself. Shun's nod signals he's said enough. Paul, we thank you for being so forthcoming. He holds out his hand for the sheet of notes in Paul's hand and the memory stick. Paul gives them both to Colonel Shun, and the others watch Shun's dramatic touch with open amusement. Carrying the paper straight to the shredder, he flips a switch and feeds the paper through the blades. Then the colonel drops the memory stick into a bubbling pot of boiling water. The gesture is dramatic, but leaves no doubt about the stakes. Colonel Sen turns away from the excited pot of water with the memory stick swirling like so many things Paul saw flying through the air 2 short days ago. Let's put our cards on the table, shall we, Paul? Colonel Sen looks suddenly more serious. The pay is good, and the dormitory space for a vice commissioner is quite large and in a safe location. Commissioner Ao speaks with conviction, but worry betrays his face, and Paul wonders what the concern is about. I know where it is, Paul says, suppressing a smile. Leo leans forward, his question direct, yet calm. So, Paul, are you in?
And that's a wrap for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What stood out to you? If you're enjoying the journey, please share with a friend. It means the world to me. Want to hold the whole Danshui President Plunge adventure in your hand? It's waiting for you on Amazon. And if you do, please leave a quick review. Until next time, take care. I'll be right here ready for the next chapter. See you then.